I've got a really fun trip planned for this weekend, but I have to make sure I have everything done around here first. So far this week, I've fixed the boys' dry lot. I power washed the trailer. Today we are going on another little adventure, but it's not to pick up a new horse. Since we are all done moving now, I am gonna have to go out and find some furniture for our new house. You guys know I love bargain hunting, so this morning we are gonna pop out to one of my new favorite stores. We've actually already visited this store last week and reserved a table that I'm picking up, but I'm hoping to find some other things. Maybe some supplies for Tiny's new little shed. There were a lot of cool things here that I didn't really need. This store gets its donations from when people remodel, and they use the proceeds to go to building affordable housing for the community. Down the road, I would love to have something like this in the barn for washing horse feed pans and getting meals ready. But today I have a limited amount of time, so I'm trying to stay on task and just look at furniture for the house. For Tiny's little shed, really all I have left to purchase is some kind of wall. I think I'm just going to put up drywall and then paint it. So the stuff I was finding today was all stuff that I didn't really need. They have a lot of building odds and ends, but I don't have a list for all of the hardware and things I still need for Tiny's shed. While I have been thrifting in the area, this place seems to have a lot of high-end furniture, which is the reason I came. When I came with my husband last week, he did not want to stay and browse, so I didn't get to look at a lot of the things back here in the home goods. I'm not really seeing anything spectacular that I need to have and bring home. When I was here last week, there was a pair of chairs that I fell in love with. They were leather and they had really pretty embroidery on it. They were a little bit more than I was wanting to spend, but retail they were around $5,000 to $10,000 a piece. So if they're here today, I think I might buy them. There's no way I'm gonna spend that much money on chairs new, but used, if the price is a little bit less than $1,000, I think it's worth the investment for me. I have to kind of shift my focus from buying things for a temporary place to live to a permanent residence. One of the things on my list today is to buy a coffee table for the living room. We did already buy a couch, which the cats have definitely been enjoying more than us. In addition to a coffee table, I'm going to be browsing for some end tables. Since we were really trying to cut down on the amount of trips we were having to make back and forth from Montana, we sold what little furniture we had. Really, the only pieces of furniture that we brought with us were our standing desks. As I was perusing the store, I noticed that they were having a 50% off sale on all of the outdoor furniture as well as building supplies. It seems like they periodically mark down the furniture as it comes in. The table that we bought last time had been through several markdowns, so we got a very expensive table for less than $300. This store does list a lot of the furniture online for people to buy, and I've been watching a few of the pieces. One of the tables that I thought would be perfect for our living room sold over the last week. This sofa is really cool. I can feel that it's definitely filled with horsehair or something that is definitely not a modern cushion. I think that this would be a spectacular couch to put in Tiny's shed, but with limited space, I think that's probably unrealistic. I think this wooden trunk would go perfect as a coffee table in our living room, but I've got to see what my husband thinks about it. I don't think I gave myself enough time to shop today, so I'm gonna have to cruise through the whole entire store in the next half an hour. There were a lot of things that I was seeing that were not marked down at all, but I did notice that the chairs I saw last time were still here. These are gorgeous and really well made, super comfortable, and even though they do have some signs of wear, they are in really good shape for the price. I'm having a hard time justifying the price, so I'm gonna do some more shopping and see what else I can find. I found a really cool table that I thought would look nice in our house, but it ended up being way out of my price range. I found a few more leather chairs that were not quite my vibe and a little bit more expensive than the last ones. There was also a matching couch, but I don't know that I would feel right about sitting on baby deer. And at $4,000, this is definitely above what we were hoping to spend. This store is located relatively close to Aspen, Colorado, so I think that is partially the reason that there is a lot of really expensive stuff in here. I got a little chuckle out of this. They had this stitching horse that they thought was a saddle stand. They are actually used to hold two pieces of leather together and then stitch them by hand. My husband really wanted a leather couch, and when we went to the store to shop for them, they were pretty low quality, but the price was still very high. This store has a lot of high quality pieces and their prices are pretty reasonable and much less than they cost new. I've visited a bunch of the thrift stores closer to our house, and I have been finding things every now and again that will work for us. A lot of the more reasonably priced things at this store I could find at Goodwill for maybe a quarter or less of the price. It does look like a lot of these things they just got in, so this is the highest price they're going to be. I saw a really neat stone table that I thought would look really nice in our living room, but decided against it because it was a little bit too expensive and looked pretty darn heavy. It looks like this store gets donations in daily, and sometimes they don't have the prices set on these things yet. There were quite a few things that I liked, but I wasn't willing to pay what they had them priced at. I saw these chairs last time and I pushed really hard for us to get them, but we decided to go with something else. In addition to some really high quality pieces, they also had some designer things that I just didn't quite get. These kind of weird looking dining room chairs are selling for almost $900 used. I'm sure the cats would love them, but it looks like a trip hazard to me. I found this really neat set of dishware that I thought would be perfect for the holiday season, but once I looked at the price tag, I decided I definitely wouldn't be buying it today. Last week when we were here, we got our dining room table and 8 chairs for less than $300, so I think we swooped in right at the perfect time. I really enjoy buying used furniture. You get some pretty good deals, but everything I was seeing was not quite right. I did like this coffee table, but it had quite a bit of wear on it. Even though it was really nice, I am pretty sure I can get a better deal if I just hold out and wait for something to come up at the Goodwill. They had this priced at $75, and I think I can get something that is a bit nicer for much cheaper. After coming up empty for all of the other things I was trying to buy today, I decided that I hardly ever buy myself anything, so I was going to get these chairs. I don't really get very excited about furniture, but I thought about these for the last week, so I decided that I just could not risk it and leave them behind. I made it out of the store with 5 minutes to spare. My husband told me that he would have someone come out and unload all of this furniture and put it in the house, but I think that is ridiculous, so I'm just going to do it myself. I'm not too worried about all of the chairs, but the dining room table is going to be a little bit tricky for me to maneuver by myself. The horses were convinced that I had a new friend for them, but they're going to have to wait a little bit longer until I bring home the new horse.
Boys doing? Frisco bale. Honey.
I had a pretty easy time unloading all of the chairs, and then it was time for me to figure out how to get this gigantic table out. We didn't know too much about this table when we bought it, but as I was crawling around underneath it, I noticed that it was Polo by Ralph Lauren. I was blown away when I looked it up online and saw that it was $20,000 new. It really just looked like a fancy picnic table to us, and that is why we liked it and decided to buy it. I'd say that my trip to buy some furniture for the new house was a success. I was feeling pretty proud of myself for scooching this table along, and then I realized that it was a little bit ridiculous because I have a tractor now. I have a time set up to go get some hay this afternoon, so I've got to unhook the trailer, hook up my flatbed, and then head into town. I'm pretty happy with everything I got done today, even though I didn't do very much at the barn. Our house is starting to look more like a home every day, and I am stockpiling all the hay I'm going to need for winter. With the gigantic full moon out, the drive into town to pick up the hay was pretty sweet. I made 2 trips and got 12 big square bales of hay for the horses. Because of the spectacular full moon, I could see pretty well to unload the hay. I'm getting pretty handy with the tractor, but I did accidentally ruin 1 bale of grass hay. The horses go through 1 big square bale every 3 to 4 days, so they'll have it gobbled up in no time. I was really excited that it looked like I'm going to be able to fit either 20 or 24 bales in this little shed for the winter. That will be 12 weeks or 3 months worth of hay, so I should be able to stockpile enough to get through the hardest part of winter, which honestly around here is going to be so much nicer than Montana. I'm actually thinking I'll be able to stack some of the hay outside, right outside the horse pens, and it won't get ruined. On the docket today is to clean up this pen that Stewie's been staying in. I need to lay down some footing, put up another shelter, and then probably put some more windbreaks up.
Frisco Bill. Stiff old boy.
It's been getting a little bit colder overnight, and Frisco is really starting to feel it. Thankfully, I did get the spray foam in for Tiny's new little shed when it was warm the other day. Recently, Tiny has been spending more time in the actual house and less time in the basement. She's had a few little spats with the other cats because she really does like to be on her own. It would be really nice if she got comfortable around them so she could come in at night, but if she really just wants to stay outside, I want to make sure her shed is pretty warm for her throughout the winter. I've got some cleanup to do in here before I put the insulation and the flooring in. But before that, I want to get going on the Mustang pen, so I'm going to put Huckleberry away so I can use the tractor.
Good boy.
I was having a really hard time getting one bale off last night, so I had to rearrange the trailer so I could access it from the other side. Frisco was looking especially depressed today, so I decided to try him in with the girls and Ziggy.
Hey, go be friends with Zig.
It really makes me sad seeing Frisco so down and out. Over the years, one of his favorite tasks has been helping me with very young horses. He spent a lot of time with Scarlet when I very first got her, and he did raise up Prim. He's been turned out with Prim, Scarlet, and Ziggy all before, but since he is getting pretty up there in age, I'm a little bit worried they're going to chase him around. I'm going to watch them very closely while I'm moving footing today, and hopefully these three will let Frisco into their little herd.
Zig. Okay, old boy? Zig, you be nice to him. Okay, Ziggo. Be nice to him, Zig. Here. Good girl. Prim. Good girls. Come on, Frisco Bill.
Although Frisco has been turned out in his own little pen next to Prim this entire time, it didn't take him very long to steal her away from Ziggy. These two are like peas and carrots, and hopefully, since Ziggy has Scarlet, this little group of four will be able to stay out here long term.
Bye, Frisco Bill. Frisco Bill. Stu?
Since I've rebuilt the dry lot fence, Stewie also gets to go out today.
Nice feet, Stewie. Go back in with the boys.
Stewie hasn't been causing too much trouble in his little pen, but I'm sure the first thing he's going to do when he gets back in with the boys is do a bit of pestering. It will be nice for him to have a little bit of a bigger area to stretch his legs though. Naturally, Whiplash had to remind Stewie that he was the one in charge of their little herd.
Oh, Whip.
It was kind of fun to see them all following Stewie around. I think they may have missed him, even if they don't miss his shenanigans. Stewie tried his best to let out a little buck, but he really has not bucked a single day in his life. With the fence now reinforced with 5 strands of the electrical tape, I am pretty sure that he will not be escaping anytime soon. Every time I think about putting up a track system for these boys, something happens and I need to change my plans around. There's been a lot of activity with the bear that's in the woods. There are tons of deer moving through. And I have heard some elk bugling, so all of that is going into my plan on where exactly I'm going to lay out their little track system. A few of you have been asking what a track system is, and it's just a more natural way for these horses to get out and roam around. It would be very much like if you put a lazy river on land. Instead of just standing around in a big square pasture, you set it up so they have to move to get water and food. It encourages them to move around like they would in the wild, and it's better for the horses. It helps maintain their feet and helps them maintain a better top line and musculature in their body. The hay I've been getting down here is a little bit less nutritious than the stuff they were getting up in Montana. But as you can see, these boys all look pretty well fed going into the winter. I'm definitely going to have to change the amount that I'm feeding them. They won't need nearly as much since the temperature should be a lot warmer. Even though I would love for them to get out on their track system as soon as possible, my main priority is still getting all of the footing laid down around the old homestead building. I'm really trying hard to prevent any injuries from happening. I put a bunch of bags of shavings down for Stewie and a few unopened that I thought he would leave alone, but obviously didn't. I need to scrape up all of this footing and manure and put it in my manure pile to jumpstart my composting. As I continued to move material around, it looked like Stewie was doing his best to instigate some play between the other boys. As the other horses were cleaning up the morning alfalfa leaves, he was chasing everybody around, nipping them in the butt, trying to get them to play tag with him. Typically, Pete will join in on the fun, but I think he is still a little bit nervous about being in a new place. I was hoping I would get to see Stewie test the fence, but I think he knows that it is on and much stronger than it was the last time he was doing his escaping. It was looking like Frisco was getting along really well with the herd, and then for some reason Scarlet decided that she did not want him hanging out with Prim anymore. Scarlet and Prim have become besties over the last couple of months, and it seemed like she was really upset that Frisco is in there. Since he is so old, he does not need to be getting chased around.
How you doing, old boy?
I opened up the gates and he ran right back into his little paddock next to Nigel. I was really surprised to see Scarlet being so aggressive around Prim, but I think some of her instincts as a wild horse are coming out now that Prim is in foal. She's protecting her new little herd,
Okay,
and
old
Frisco
boy.
is not a part of it. Frisco and Nigel are going to get upgraded digs once the footing is laid down. And bit by bit, it is all starting to come together around here. After a few hours on the tractor, I did get the footing placed in the new quarantine pen. I'm going to add another shelter, and then I think this pen should be ready for a new wild horse. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next video.